Sustainability Laboratory, which was founded in 2008, works to address urgent sustainability challenges facing the planet by creating and demonstrating effective tools for catalyzing radical change. And we're so very glad that you've made the time to join us today to hear about a new initiative of the labs being developed in Bhutan in partnership with the Royal University of Bhutan's College of Natural Resources. This new and meaningful partnership marks a significant milestone for the lab, and we are proud and honored to have joining us today some very special guests who are here to celebrate this new program, project, and collaboration with us. So to get started and to give you a little bit of a context about the lab, we're going to start by watching a short video. It's a little over 2 minutes long, and then get started. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and here we go. Our planet is in distress. Persistent, insensitive human activities now threaten every vital component of the biosphere, including the well-being of our own species. We are faced with a choice: continuous deterioration or a commitment to sustainability. Transitioning from the current state of affairs to a sustainable basis is an unprecedented challenge. There is no blueprint to guide us. We need bold experimentation with new ways of thinking and acting. This is why we established the Sustainability Laboratory, a global platform for sustainability innovations, a catalyst inspiring positive change. In our development projects, we work collaboratively with communities to bring about sustainability-related transformations. In our education initiatives, we help train future leaders to tackle the urgent sustainability issues facing the planet. And in our research projects, we foster groundbreaking innovations in technology. This is the Sustainability Laboratory, aiming to expand prospects and produce positive, life-affirming impacts on people and ecosystems in all parts of the world, joining with others to ensure a transition to a sustainable future.
Hello, everyone, and once again, thank you all for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you with us. First of all, as a representative of the board of the Sustainability Laboratory, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Doma Shering to this gathering. As likely you all know, all organizations have a charter or a vision statement that guides their mission and behavior. The Sustainability Laboratory is no different. The lab and all its efforts are underpinned and guided by a document entitled The 5 Core Principles of Sustainability. This comprehensive definition is one of the best that I have yet seen in my 50 years of being focused on these issues. On a personal note, I was an environmental science major way back in 1970. I've been reading such material ever since. Most of the books and articles that I have come across are all about the what and the why of sustainability, focusing largely on trying to elicit an altruistic and urgent response. Precious little, hardly anything really, has been comprehensively written about the how of sustainability. Exactly how are we going to do this? The 5 Core Principles document is the most operationally useful document that I have yet come across. It is all about the how of sustainability. and in my way of thinking, just in the nick of time. This includes the flagship project of the lab called Wadi Atir in the Negev Desert in Israel. This project has marshaled the indigenous wisdom of the Bedouin population and given it a place in which to thrive. Anyone interested to learn more about this can visit the lab's website, sustainabilitylabs.org. Another initiative of the lab is the Global Sustainability Fellows Program. The vision of this program is to run trainings for graduate students in every biome on the planet. We began with 2 programs in Costa Rica about 6 years ago. Frankly, my time scale is a little wacky because of the pandemic. Time seems to be strangely unavailable to me. But anyway, we began with these 2 programs in Costa Rica in the 2 ecozones in that very small country. On the west of the country, you have the dry tropics, and in the east, you have the wet tropics. The next program was run in the Negev Desert in an arid ecozone. For that program, we had 250 applicants from 67 different countries. Alas, we only had 18 seats. But what a group. The students came from the US, Mexico, Canada, Spain, Sweden, Ireland, Ghana, Kenya, Israel, India, China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Singapore, and Uzbekistan. Many of the issues that will come to a head in the next 50 years will likely fall to this generation to figure out how to deal with. The GSFP seeks to arm them with the necessary learning and operational strategies that they will need to do this work. We are now in discussions with the Canary Islands to run an educational program in an island ecozone for the next iteration of the GSFP, the pandemic notwithstanding. I could really go on, but this afternoon we have an exciting opportunity as we announce a prize program in an alpine biozone in Bhutan. Once again, welcome everyone. We are glad to have you with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Peter, for your eloquent and moving words and really for your tireless work and enthusiasm for the lab and all of its programs. You've played a very significant part in the lab's success. Thank you. So we're going to turn now to focus on this afternoon's reason for gathering, and it's the lab's initiative in Bhutan. And we wanted to provide you all with a very unique perspective on the country, its people, and Bhutan's commitment to sustainable development. So it is my great honor and privilege to welcome and introduce to you Her Excellency Ambassador Doma Shering, Permanent Representative of Bhutan to the United Nations. Welcome, Ambassador Shering.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson, for the very warm welcome. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Michael Benelli, founder and director of Sustainability Laboratory, and his team for organizing this event and for providing me with the opportunity to participate with you all today. I'd also like to thank Professor Peter Dean for your very insightful remarks. I am delighted to join you this evening in the company of the Honorable Chairperson of the National Council and the Dean of Research of the College of Natural Resources, who have sent their recorded messages from Bhutan. Many of you may already know of Bhutan. You may know of our rich and distinct cultural traditions and heritage, our mountains and commitment to preservation of the environment as a carbon neutral negative country, our extraordinary leadership as embodied by our successive monarchs, and more recently, for those of you who are following the 94th Oscar Awards, even for an Academy Award nomination this year for Best International Feature Film. So we're particularly proud of that. Most of all, Bhutan is known for happiness, or as the country that pursues not GDP, but GNH, gross national happiness, as a policy tool and measure of national progress and development. Long before the international discourse on sustainable development began to receive traction internationally, Bhutan recognized the importance of an ethical and compassionate, human-centered approach to development. We have, since the start of our planned development, pursued a development trajectory that encompassed promotion and protection of our natural surroundings, including rich biological diversity and natural resources on one hand, culture and traditions, and the need for human and economic progress on the other, bound together by good governance and service delivery to our people. Gross national happiness, as His Majesty the King has often said, is development with values. We understand that the role of government is to create an enabling environment within which individuals may pursue their own happiness. We also understand that happiness does not come from material and monetary growth alone. That is why all government projects and national policies are subjected to a rigorous GNH policy screening tool prior to finalization. Bhutan also uses a GNH index as a multidimensional framework for development planning, which assesses not only the traditional economic measures of progress, but gauges psychological well-being, time use, cultural diversity and resilience, community vitality, in addition to ecological diversity and resilience. Bhutan has always been a strong advocate of sustainable development and have consistently found high correlation between the national key results areas of our development plans and the internationally agreed 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Our commitment to conservation is mandated by constitutional provisions that recognizes all Bhutanese as custodians of our natural environment and requires that the country maintain at least 60% of our land area under forest cover. Currently, 71% of the country is covered by forests. The government invests significantly in maintaining our natural resources, which are protected as national parks, protected forests, and biological corridors constituting 51% of our total land area. This is, in fact, what enables Bhutan to maintain a carbon sink capacity nearly 3 times higher than we emit. In fact, allow me to mention here that graduates from the College of Natural Resources play an important role in contributing towards these endeavors. Since the start of planned development in 1961, when we first initiated basic national infrastructure facilities such as our roads, power, communication system, transport, agriculture, and animal husbandry, Bhutan has done remarkably well. Even with the heavy toll of the pandemic-related disruptions to our economy, Bhutan remains on track to graduate from the least developed country status to middle income status in 2023. However, I must admit that our development journey has not been without its challenges. Bhutan is a small country located in the Eastern Himalayas between 2 of the most populous emerging economies of the world, India and China. We have a population of little over 750,000, with 62.2% of our population living in rural areas. Our economy is small, with a GDP of 2.4 billion USD, dependent on a narrow economic base dominated by hydroelectricity. And as a landlocked country with a fragile mountain ecosystem, we are highly susceptible to natural disasters. Already the impacts of climate change and rising temperatures are visible as we witness increasing frequency and intensity of irregular weather events, receding glaciers, increasing severity of natural hazards, including the threat of glacial lake outburst floods, incidents of vector-borne diseases at higher altitudes, shrinking natural habitats of keystone species and other wildlife, shifting seasons and disruption of crop yields threatening food security. In the context of narrowing fiscal space and shrinking international development financing, We feel the weight of our constitutional commitment to remain carbon neutral and preserving our natural environment, the natural heritage of all mankind. The cost of faithfully adhering to the path of sustainable development is high and transcends the means of any one country. And all the while, like many countries in the world, Bhutan continues to struggle in the face of COVID-19 pandemic, despite our stringent mitigation efforts and high vaccination levels. As we speak, the capital Thimphu and other districts of the country are at various stages of lockdown to ward off the contagion, simply because as a small developing country with weak health infrastructure, we must choose between lives and livelihoods. The pandemic has had deep and broad impacts on our economy. GDP growth, projected to grow by 6.9% in 2020, took a nosedive to negative 10% that year. Our entire tourism industry, which accounts for 15% of GDP, remains at a standstill with closure of our borders since March 2020. Construction, manufacturing, and transport sectors have all been impacted. And from 2.4%, overall unemployment in the country rose to 5%. Youth unemployment in particular grew alarmingly from 10.6% to 22%. As we look towards recovery in the post-pandemic phase, Bhutan's focus will be on creation of jobs, development of human capital, diversification, and innovation. We want our youth to be able to capitalize on technological advances. The need for long-term transformative and green solutions for our food systems, local economy, public service delivery, approaches to learning, data ecosystem, and preparedness for disasters and future pandemics have become even more evident. We know that Bhutan must be able to innovate, emerge in recovery more resilient, relevant, agile, and ready to seize the opportunities of the 21st century. And to do so, we will need the support for investment in our human capital through capacity development, reskilling, and upskilling. Especially as we prepare to graduate, we need international support and solidarity more than ever. An enormous task lies ahead of us to recover from the pandemic and return to normalcy. It is in this context that I welcome the collaboration between the Sustainability Lab and the College of Natural Resources in Bhutan. The establishment of the lab's sustainability program will encourage young innovators to explore further research in sustainable development. This in turn will contribute and boost our efforts towards building back better from the pandemic. So let me leave you with these thoughts and at the same time send to you all my best wishes for productive continued discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for sharing your deeply inspiring and informative remarks and for being here with us today. It's indeed a great honor for all of us. I would like to now invite the founder and director of the Sustainability Laboratory, Dr. Michael Benelli, to join us and share with you about this new program and the lab's partnership with the Royal University of Bhutan. Michael.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Madam Ambassador, Dean Sonam Tashi, colleagues and friends, our event today marks an exciting step in a actually very long journey. It all started over a decade ago when I met Tashi Dorji. Tashi today is the chairman of the Bhutanese National Council, the upper house, equivalent to the Senate in the United States. Tashi was scheduled to join us today, but was quarantined in a remote rural area in helping with COVID issues, so he couldn't make it. He sends his regards. When we met, soon after the lab was established, I can't actually believe how long it's been, Tashi was working on his master's degree at Columbia University in New York. and he became an intern at the lab. And all the ideas of doing something together with Bhutan germinated then. So it's way over 10 years old. Soon after Tashi returned home, he facilitated a visit for me to Bhutan. And I thought that I'll fill in his absence by sharing with you some of the experiences during that trip. And I have to apologize at the beginning that I appear in many of those images. That is not to promote myself, but just to give you the essence of an experience. So we had the opportunity to visit numerous government agencies and met with high-ranking officials, including the head of National Environment Commission, the secretary of the Gross National Happiness Commission. I don't believe any other country in the world has such an instrument, such an agency. The Minister of Agriculture, and many, many more, including other people not in government, in NGOs, and so on. We spent some time with students and had the opportunity to do some lectures and seminars here at the college, at the Royal College at Thimphu, and here actually at the CNR, at the College of Natural Resources. The beautiful lecture hall, an amazing group of students that immediately evoked the idea already then of doing something with the graduation class. We then went on to drive and hike in remote rural areas through amazingly beautiful landscape. The pictures just don't convey that enough. I mean, the country is so beautiful, and I hope that it will be able to stay as it is in that way. We had a chance to interact with people, young and old, in all walks of life, and learn about their life and so forth. It was really so welcoming, and the hospitality is so warm. Even children, young children, were accepting us like we were part of the family. So this was a really great experience. We visited monasteries, including a remarkable visit and actually staying for a couple of days at the Rincheling Shedra monastery in the north of Bhutan. And it was there, the monastery itself is quite a complex area. It's almost like a village in its own right. And it's there that one idea for possible projects emerged. We were talking about perhaps developing a model for a green monastery, using the monastery to develop examples of dealing with waste, both water waste and other organic waste, dealing with food production, with energy, because those monasteries are really the center of cultural and other activities in the whole region. And we thought that the green monastery like this could really become a major change agent in its region. We visited a number of those beautiful Bhutanese annual festivals and experienced some of the local superbly well adapted, both functionally and beautiful architecture. But at the same time, always became somewhat concerned witnessing the pressure for rapid urban development. Now, urban ecosystems, if you like, urban ecologies represent areas where all the sustainability issues converge. And I hope that we shall be able to tackle some of these in the near future together with the CNR and perhaps other partners in Bhutan. Which brings me to the lab. So the lab itself was established with a very simple idea in mind, that the challenges facing humanity in the transition to sustainable ways are unprecedented. There's no tried and true recipe book to guide us. So we need to experiment. And where do you experiment? You experiment in a lab. And what does the planet need now? It needs a global laboratory for sustainability innovations. So we went ahead and followed that idea. Functionally, there are two ideas, two notions behind the lab, twofold kind of strategy. One, to develop projects that showcase innovative approaches to sustainability, and two, to develop the lab itself as a network of activity centers, research, development, and education around the world that map onto particular ecozones. And Peter alluded to that in some of our activities already in some of those typical areas. Now, we developed our own signature approach, if you like, that involves three major components. The first is a system thinking and a holistic design approach. The second is a pioneering theory of change that makes a distinction between change that you can do in the system while the system still stays the same, and second order change, where you bring about a complete transformation in the system itself, which is obviously the kind of transformation that we need in moving to a more sustainable future. And finally, of course, the definition and the 5 sustainability principles that developed in the lab. And that framework is driving all our activities, both development projects and educational programs. Always seeking to try and produce transformative change, as for example, in these images that you see here, one component of the project Wadiatir with the Bedouin community in the desert that again Peter alluded to earlier. You see that the duck swimming here in that pond of water is swimming in a place that only a decade ago looked like the picture on the bottom right. And today it looks like the picture at the top. A really major transformation, which I hope we'll be able to export and scale up in other places. The lab has a number of educational programs. We have a very extensive, actually, program of lectures and seminars in many places around the world that we do yearly. We have the Global Sustainability Fellows, a graduate level summer session kind of thing that was alluded to earlier. And of course, we have the Sustainability Prize Program at Earth University in Costa Rica, the like of which we'd like to establish as a first step with CNR. Now, the idea came up from one of our main supporters and friends, Joshua Arnor. I was very happy to see him among the group here. Joshua really came up with that wonderful idea. And the idea was that the Sustainability Prize will be awarded each year to a graduation project. We actually have a first prize and a running up, a graduation project that best showcase incorporation of the lab's sustainability principle. At Earth University, we work with third-year students before they enter their final year, going over the principles, the whole kind of signature approach, if you like, and the classes that started, I think it was the first year was in 2009, very small, as you can see on the left, started growing, and now we are having really a large a group of youngsters to deal with. And the program itself incorporates some typical classroom seminars, working in small groups with students, working one-on-one with students. We are now I think in our 12th year with the program. And as I said, the student body who's been exposed to it has been grown remarkably. Over the years, the students winning prizes, winning graduation projects ran the gamut. And some of them I'll run quickly because they're very interesting. On the left, you see the hydroponic system developed by this young man for growing lettuce in large quantity. On the top, you have a system developed for, these are different years, collecting rainwater in rural areas. And the bottom, you have a biogas production system for domestic use. You have here, very interesting, this young lady developed a process for converting oil, kind of oil waste from restaurants into usable fuels. On the top, you have a very interesting project of kind of promoting, at the bottom rather, indigenous ancestral agriculture for food production in urban area. And at the top, it's another super interesting project where a group of young ladies from Guatemala developed natural material composite bricks for fuel. This is basically sawdust and paper that is useful for communities that are using rely mostly on wood for energy. And this produces much less emission, and of course it's much more efficient. You deal with waste, you turn it into useful resource, and you cut down on the need to cut forests and so on. Other projects, you have a project that empowered group of women in rural areas through capacity building, and a beautiful project with that young lady who was working with kind of producing a hands-on experience for youngsters, young children, to learn about sustainable agriculture. This is a beautiful project that was done by this couple here at Agro Silva pasture system for growing organic free-range egg-laying hens. And the most recent, before COVID, pre-COVID award went to this young lady who produces a system of biofilters for water purification. The awards, incidentally, take place during a great annual graduation ceremony during a celebratory dinner that is done by the president of the university every year for all the graduating students, their families who come from all over and guests. It's really a major event, and it is become a kind of a major moment in the university's yearly calendar. It's very relatively low cost, yet super highly impactful program. It impacts the whole student body. It impacts the faculty. It's, of course, impacts the recipients of the prize and the communities with which they work. And having recently established the MOU for collaborating with the Royal University of Bhutan and the College of Natural Resources, we thought that this program would be a sensible first step to launch what we look to become and develop into a long and rich experience in moving the sustainability agenda forward together.
Fantastic, Michael. Oh my gosh, those projects by the students are really remarkable. I hope when we have a discussion, you'll be able to share with us what their process is and what you hope to engage the students in Bhutan with. So without further ado, I want to now introduce Dr. Sonam Tashi, Dean of Research and Industrial Linkages at the CNR, the College of Natural Resources. He's joining us from Bhutan. I think it's 3:30 in the morning there. And so it's really a remarkable thing that you're here with us in person. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're looking forward to hear from you about the impact of this program for the CNR and the students. Welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope I'm audible to all of you there.
Yes, you sound great.
Okay. Dr. Michael, Dashu Domasring, Excellencies, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Kuzampola, and good afternoon for those of you there in the US, and for the others, good morning. Thank you, Michael, for a very inspiring talk that you delivered. And I would like to also start with greetings from the College of Natural Resources, Royal University of Bhutan. At the outset, on behalf of the College of Natural Resources, I would like to thank Michael and his team at the Sustainability Lab for kindly inviting me to represent my college in this event. Very quickly, if I may, the College of Natural Resources, in short CNR, is one of the 9 constituent colleges of the Royal University of Bhutan. It is located on an almost 100-acre campus, 62 kilometers east of the capital, Thimphu. We offer both undergrad and postgrad programs, including the PhD in a wide range of disciplines from agriculture, animal, and forest science to environment, climate, natural resource management, to food science and technology, and sustainable development. In fact, we have 3 years bachelor's degree in sustainable development, but now the program has been extended to 4 years, and we do also have master's in development practice, in addition to the other programs that I listed. The college also hosts about three research centers, namely Center for Environment and Climate Research, Center for Rural Development and Development Studies, and Center for Sustainable Mountain Agriculture. Our research interests are varied, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, and sustainability theme is integrated in all of our research activities, or in most of our research activities. We have also been focusing on sustainable agriculture and food system, as was highlighted by Dr. Domasring, rural livelihood, resilience, building against the impacts of climate change, water and environment conservation, and waste management. These are also the priority areas of the Royal Government of Bhutan, and where appropriate, we collaborate and provide the necessary technical support for informed decision making. Our college is also expanding, and we now have over 1,200 students, which is huge by our standard, given our own small population of less than 1 million people. Every year, our college also receives students from abroad. Some of them come for full-time study, and others for semester abroad programs, and still others for short-term research and internships. We also have a few exchange programs for both students and faculty members. However, since the beginning of 2020, international students and exchange programs have almost come to a standstill, obviously, as you know, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this was also highlighted by Dr. Domasring. The virus has indeed disrupted everything, but we are very optimistic that from sometime mid this year, we can resume these and other programs which were disrupted. The college is blessed to have a few, but very strong and trusted collaborators from abroad. From the US, besides the Sustainability Lab, we have 2 other partners. These are Naropa University, based in Colorado, and Oregon State University. With the Sustainability Lab, as we share a number of activities in common, particularly in transforming people's livelihood and valuing long-term sustainability in the way we do things, we signed an MOU sometime last year. And I would like to gratefully acknowledge Dr. Michael for being very instrumental in conceptualizing and initiating the MOU signing. So many thanks, Dr. Michael. It's much appreciated. Our partnership with Sustainability Lab, formalized through this MOU, would help CNR asymmetrically in leveraging the experience, expertise, and resources available with Sustainability Lab. And from our end, I assure Michael and the SL team of the support needed in successfully exploring and implementing the collaborative activities of mutual interest, of which there are many. While we have many interesting areas of collaboration, we will be kicking off our joint activities with the Sustainability Prize, as highlighted by Michael, which will be awarded to the best student project on sustainability. All final year students of CNR develop amazing projects. Their bright and innovative ideas often can't be translated into living projects to benefit the community or the country at large due to lack of fund. Therefore, the Sustainability Prize of USD 10,000 for the winning student project and a runner-up prize of USD 5,000 would go a long way in further motivating students to implement creative green solutions to benefit the society and the planet. Michael and I will be talking more on these both these prizes with our students in the next few weeks after we confirm the dates. I'm sure our students would be excited about these prizes. For this generous grant, on the behalf of the college, I would like to thank Michael and his SL team. I look forward to interacting with the rest of the SL team members, and also I'm looking forward to a very fruitful partnership. Thank you, Michael, and thank you to all the SL team and the distinguished guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonam.
Thank you so much, Sonam. I wanted to just recognize that Her Excellency Ambassador Sharing needs to sign off now. And I just wanted to reiterate again our deep gratitude in your joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Benelli and Dean Sonam Tashi. Enjoyed very much your presentation as well. Thank you.
I wanted to just thank you again, Sonam and Peter and Michael, for sharing what you have with us today to introduce us to this project and to the vision for sustainable development in Bhutan. It's all very exciting. The lab is in its very early stages. This is the very first event to introduce the wider community to this program, and we envision several awareness raising events in the future, and we really want to invite all of you here today who want to learn more about how to get involved in this project, to support this initiative, for you to reach out to us directly. I'll add some links in the chat. We're in the early stages of raising the funding for the project and also kind of beginning to coordinate all the necessary components to launch the program in the near future.